Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am beyond excited for today's guest. He's a legend of the gridiron, a man whose grace on the field was matched only by his heart off of it. For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
Hi, Calvin. I'm Walter Payton, though most folks just called me Sweetness. I spent 13 wonderful seasons running the ball for the Chicago Bears, and I'm just so happy to have this chance to share some stories with you today.
We are honored, Walter. Let's start at the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on July 25th, 1954, in a lovely little town called Columbia, Mississippi.
And what was your given name at birth?
My full name given to me by my parents was Walter Jerry Payton.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
You know, it was just a name my parents, Peter and Aline, chose for me. But I'll tell you, I was much more focused on making sure my nickname, Sweetness, lived up to its name later on.
Columbia, Mississippi. What was your hometown like growing up?
It was a quiet place, but it was home. Growing up in the 50s and 60s in the South had its challenges, for sure, with segregation and all that was happening then. But the community was tight-knit. You knew your neighbors, and you looked out for one another. It taught me the value of hard work and staying humble.
What was your family life like?
Oh, it was wonderful. I was one of 3 children. My brother Eddie was my hero. He actually played in the NFL before I did. My sister Pamela and I were very close. My parents worked hard to provide for us and kept us active in the church. We didn't have everything, but we had plenty of love.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a very active kid. I wasn't actually into football at first. I was the kid who loved the arts. I played the drums, I sang in the choir, and I was even in the marching band. I was a bit of a jokester too. I loved to make people laugh.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
To be honest, I think like many kids, I was afraid of failing or letting down the people who believed in me. But I learned pretty early on that the only way to beat fear is to run right at it. Sort of like how I approached a linebacker on the field.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
Believe it or not, I dreamed of being a professional musician. I loved my drums. Football was something my brother did, and I didn't want to compete with him. I only started playing because my high school coach asked me to, and I only agreed if I could stay in the band.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
Definitely the marching band and track. I loved the rhythm of the drums and the pure speed of track and field. Those things actually helped me so much later with my footwork and timing on the football field.
What was your first job?
Aside from chores around the house, my job was really focusing on my studies and my music until football took over. But I always treated football like a job once it became serious. It required that kind of discipline.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
It wasn't about being better, but I realized I had a different kind of drive. When I finally started playing football as a junior in high school, I scored a 65-yard touchdown on my very first carry. That's when I thought, hey, maybe I've got a knack for this.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Choosing to go to Jackson State University. My brother went there, and even though I had an offer from Kansas State, I decided to stay close to home. It was a smaller, historically black university, and it gave me the foundation I needed to grow into the man I became.
What was your biggest break?
Getting drafted 4th overall by the Chicago Bears in 1975. That was the moment the door swung wide open. Coming from a small school, there were questions about whether I could play with the big boys, but the Bears took a chance on me with a record-breaking signing bonus.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Proving myself was always a hurdle. Coming from the South during that era, you always felt you had to work twice as hard to get noticed. I wasn't the biggest or the fastest guy, so I had to be the toughest.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Never. My motto was always never die easy. Whether it was a practice run or a Super Bowl carry, quitting just wasn't in my vocabulary.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
Oh, absolutely. Every summer, I would go back to Mississippi and run the hill. It was a steep, sandy bank by the Pearl River. I'd run it until I couldn't breathe. That hill built the stamina that allowed me to play 190 games and only miss one in my whole career.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I probably would have worked in communications or maybe followed that musical dream. I actually earned my degree in communications from Jackson State. I always enjoyed connecting with people.
What was your life like before fame?
It was simple. It was about family, church, and practice. I was just a kid from Mississippi who loved to play the drums and run fast.
How did relationships change after success?
You learn who your real friends are, but I always tried to treat everyone the same. I never wanted to be the Walter Payton to my friends. I just wanted to be Walter.
Did fame bring happiness?
Fame is a tool, not a destination. It brought me the opportunity to help people through my foundation and to provide for my family, and that gave me great joy. But happiness comes from the people you love, not the headlines.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The lack of privacy. Sometimes you just want to be a dad or a husband without the cameras watching. It can be a heavy load to carry everyone's expectations of you.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People saw the sweetness and the smiles and thought everything was always easy. I had my bad days and my struggles just like anyone else. I worked incredibly hard to make it look smooth on Sundays.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
Maybe how much I truly valued things outside of football. Football was what I did, but it wasn't all of who I was. I was a businessman, a pilot, and a father long before I was a quote-unquote Hall of Famer.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
My rookie year was tough. I didn't perform the way I wanted to at first. I had a game where I had 0 rushing yards. I handled it by going back to work. I didn't pout. I just ran harder the next week.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
It changed my circumstances, but I hope it didn't change my heart. I always tried to keep that Mississippi boy inside of me alive.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My mother, Aileen, she was the rock of our family, and my brother Eddie, he paved the way for me.
What was life like in your final years?
They were quiet and focused on family. I spent a lot of time working on my autobiography, Never Die Easy, and trying to raise awareness for organ donation. Even when things got difficult with my health, I tried to stay positive.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was very involved in my business ventures and my foundation. I wanted to make sure that even when I wasn't running the ball anymore, I was still making an impact.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on November 1, 1999 in South Barrington, Illinois.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was an avid hobbyist. I actually loved remote-controlled cars and planes. I'd spend hours tinkering with them.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
There were always rumors about my training, like I was some kind of superhuman. I wasn't superhuman. I just hated losing more than I loved winning.
What was your most unique habit?
I had a very high-pitched, squeaky voice when I got excited. People didn't expect that from a tough football player. And I loved to prank my teammates. I'd hide their clothes or jump out and scare them in the locker room.
What was your favorite food?
I loved a good home-cooked Southern meal. Fried chicken and collard greens always hit the spot.
Did you have a favorite restaurant?
I actually opened my own place called Walter Payton's Roundhouse in Aurora, Illinois. I loved the atmosphere there, good food and good people.
What was your favorite book?
I read a lot of biographies. I loved learning about how other people overcame their obstacles.
Did you have any known rivalries?
On the field, the Green Bay Packers were always the big one. There's nothing like a Bears-Packers game. But off the field, I had a lot of respect for those guys.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
People talk about the touchdowns, but I remember the times I spent signing autographs for hours. I remember one time a kid didn't have anything for me to sign, so I signed the back of his hand. The look on his face meant more than any trophy.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Don't just work hard, work with a purpose. And remember, you don't have to be the biggest or the strongest to be the best. You just have to have the biggest heart. Never die easy.
Walter, this has been an absolute dream. Before we sign off, do you have any closing remarks or stories you'd like to share with our listeners?
Just this. Life is short, so make it sweet. Be kind to one another, cherish your friends, and always give 100% to whatever you love. Thank you so much for having me, Calvin. It's been a blast.
Wow, what a legend. From the hill in Mississippi to the Hall of Fame, Walter Payton truly showed us what it means to live with heart. We talked about his music, his Never Die Easy motto, and that incredible 1985 Super Bowl season. Walter, thank you for coming on the show. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.